dozens squatting in the building on a daily basis, and our cameras captured disturbing images inside the building. Moldy, clogged, shared toilets with feces and bugs in the shared shower and kitchen spaces. According to the city, the fire alarm system wasn't working properly and there was no running water. Residents also told CBC about copper piping being ripped out of the plumbing system as well.
It got really bad. The building's it's not even in living condition.
Rockwood is one of many who are choosing to live in tents until there is another solution that can be found. Holly McPherson and her husband say they just need a place to go to, and they'll get out of the tents.
We need a place to go. Most of us are on either OW or ODSP. The rent check goes straight to you. No, it does not go into our hands, and we just need places to go.
This morning, police entered the building to make sure everybody was out. A spokesperson saying that all the tenants left on their own accord. For Dylan White, who has lived in the building for the last 3 years, this is a hard transition.
We're all pretty much family. We all, even when, the tent city came, we all became, family.
He says he does have a place to stay with his mother tonight, but he hopes that he won't lose touch with those he's met here.
They'll all be all over the place. By now I'll find them and show my dance.
Now, a lot of fingers are being pointed at the landlord of the building for allowing things to fall into such disrepair. And I did hear from the lawyer of that owner today. He said that there was extensive and intentional damage done to the building, adding that the degree of vandalism and theft was simply shocking. Also in the statement, the lawyer said that the owner was in contact with various city officials, councillors, support agencies from January 21st onwards asking for help. And the owner, as landlord, has no special skills to provide specialized supports and services. He did also add that these tents are being put up without his permission, but I can say that there were police on site today and they were not telling anybody to leave. Chris.
Quite the scene. Thanks for this, Jacob. CBC's Jacob Barker live tonight. The U.S. government will keep the land border with Canada closed to non-essential travel until at least August 21st. And Washington says that while vaccination rates have improved, opening the border still poses too high of a risk. The American order comes a few days after the Canadian government announced its land border would open to fully vaccinated U.S. citizens on August 9th and to fully vaccinated travelers from other countries on September 7th. The longer wait is another part of this long continued closure of the border that's affecting people on both sides.
First off, we have family property in Gaylord, Michigan that we've owned for 11 years. My dad's the owner of the property, and no one's been from our family since February of 2020. The frustration of knowing you have something like that at your fingertips and it's so close, but it's really so far away and, no end in sight.
There's a really vibrant Arab community around Detroit, and we've been detached from that for almost 2 years now, so it would be really nice to reconnect there. I have friends here who have family in the States and they've had to miss out on weddings and funerals, so it would be really imperative for them to cross as soon as possible.
Especially the way the Tigers are playing right now. They're on a roll. They're playing great baseball, so yeah, that's a tradition. Every time I'd go over, you go to Lafayette's for a couple conies, a chili cheese dog, and a Werner's pregame. So really missing that.
A lot to miss with that border closed. The field hospital at St. Clair College, once again, a basketball court. In April 2020, the Sportsplex was converted into a medical site to treat people with COVID-19. Today, the hospital gave thanks and took time to remember the role this played in moving Windsor, Essex through the pandemic. CBC's Amy Dodge was there, and she has the story.
The CEO of Windsor Regional Hospital is handing the keys back over to St. Clair College, as well as $1, the amount he promised to pay in rent.
Leave it here.
Nearly 16 months ago, the Sportsplex was transformed into a field hospital. Immediately, 53 people from long-term care recovering from COVID-19 were rushed here for care.
Tragically, 16 of those patients succumbed to this terrible virus within its walls. We mourn them all and extend St. Clair's deepest condolences to their family and friends.
So much was unknown about the virus in those early days, yet hospital staff stepped forward to work at the field hospital.
They were not told to come work here. I did not tap anybody on the shoulder and tell them come work at St. Clair. They put their personal lives at risk, they put their family lives at risk, and they did it all for patient care.
Patients who were mostly elderly, their families waiting eagerly to hear updates. Those updates, we learned, came daily from staff working inside these walls.
Calling patient families and making sure that they were reassured that everything that was happening to them here was to provide the best care possible to ensure that they had the best chance of surviving COVID-19.
The field hospital was the first of its kind in Ontario. In a report commissioned by the Ministry of Long-Term Care, Windsor is listed as the example other municipalities need to look to for how to set up a field hospital. And some municipalities did indeed seek help.
So we have had reach outs from the GTA area early on in the pandemic with respect to field hospitals and setting them up and also operating them. So that did happen throughout the pandemic.
Not only was this a field hospital, it also tested more than 7,500 people for COVID and vaccinated more than 85,000 people. While everyone here is ready to close the door and leave the pandemic behind, the college says the keys will always be available if the need arises. Amy Dodge, CBC News, Windsor.
And we've now entered a new stage of the pandemic here in Windsor, Essex. It's a plateau. The health unit says that we're flattening the curve, but it's the vaccination curve, and it's not what they want to see.
We want all of our kids back in our schools in September.
Some were back today here at William Davis Public School in Windsor, one of several school-based vaccination clinics this month.
I think it allows easier access.
They're pushing these clinics on social media, emails sent to parents, calls home, urging people to pop in as the health unit worries about a plateau.
It is a critical juncture. We want people to get the vaccine so we can prevent any future waves of this pandemic and we can get back with our lives.
1 in 4 people eligible for a vaccine in Windsor, Essex do not have a first dose. 1 in 3 are not fully vaccinated. The lowest rates, the youngest population.
We have heard stories from people that how even younger people, even in the third wave in Ontario, the ICU there were many younger people who were in ICU. The youngest person who died in our region was a man in his 20s. So we still remember that. So it's not that you are invincible.
Today, a major move against vaccine hesitancy. Anyone wanting a shot can walk into a mass vaccination clinic and get one, first dose or second dose. No health card needed, no appointment necessary, and while the health unit continues to assure folks that mixing and matching that second dose is safe.
But on the other hand, right now, we have plenty of vaccine. We have plenty of Pfizer, we have plenty of Moderna, and depending on the clinic that you're getting, it is quite likely that you won't have to mix and match. You will get the vaccine that you receive.
Back at the pop-up, there's incentives on offer, gift cards, raffles for a Chromebook, hundreds of vaccines available, dozens of doses administered the first 2 days.
We're glad to get even one, to be honest. So we want as many as possible.
And what happens if September comes, school starts, and the vaccination rate doesn't improve?
That's hard to say at this point in time because we still don't know what the ministry is going to roll out.
The sites and dates for those pop-up clinics on our website as well, cbc.ca/Windsor. If you work as a mechanic or an electrician or in any other skilled trades in Ontario, the law says you must be certified. But CBC News has learned that the province has not enforced that law ever since the Ford government took power nearly 4 years ago. Our Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley has the exclusive story.
Lou Trotche has worked as a mechanic for 3 decades. He writes about cars in the Globe and Mail. He chronicles his rebuild of this 1978 Ferrari on YouTube. And he's pretty much seen it all in the auto service industry.
All around me there are businesses that use unqualified staff.
In Ontario, it's illegal to work as a mechanic without provincial certification. Same goes for 20 other skilled trades.
If you as a consumer go in, you pay a premium dollar to have your car serviced, and then if you find out at the end of the day that what you had done, even though it may have been done perfectly correctly, if it was done by an unqualified unlicensed person, it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth, doesn't it?
The provincial agency that's supposed to verify credentials stopped checking 3 years ago, but continues charging tradespeople the fees.
It irritates me. Yes, it certainly does. I play by the rules. I'm a stickler for my rules, and I would love everybody to be forced to play by the rules as well.
Ontario's certification rules cover a range of skilled trades, including electricians, plumbers, crane operators, and hairstylists. The agency responsible is called the Ontario College of Trades. Even though it's legally mandated to make sure people are properly licensed to do their jobs, officials admit the college stopped doing enforcement the moment the Ford government took office.
I think that this is totally wrong-headed.
Patrick Dillon leads a building trades union group.
It's like having an environmental act with no enforcement.
Before 2018, College of Trades inspectors visited thousands of job sites annually to check certifications. Premier Doug Ford promised to get rid of the agency in the last election campaign, criticizing the College of Trades as needless red tape. His government plans to replace it with a new agency next year.
I can assure everyone out there working in the trades that will ensure that enforcement is present on job sites.
Ontario's inspectors used to catch some 4,000 people every year working in the licensed trades without authorization. Since the Ford government came to power, they've caught none. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
There's work underway in Sandwich Town. Mackenzie Hall now covered in a tarp as repairs to the building start. Restoration work will cost $750,000. The facade, stone repair, and other work is needed on the 165-year-old building. The masonry work is scheduled to be finished in October. The federal government made a commitment to better passenger rail service in southwestern Ontario, but the commitment, it didn't come with any timelines or any cash. Recently, the federal government announced millions of dollars for better rail service between Toronto and Quebec City. Politicians at the announcement in London said that the second phase of the government's commitment is for more frequent and faster passenger trains. Previous promises by federal and provincial officials have failed to materialize. The head coach of the Windsor Spitfires scored a big goal. He's going to the NHL. Trevor Letowski is now an assistant coach of the Montreal Canadiens. He's been head coach of the Spitfires since 2018, previously working with the Sarnia Sting. Now, he says today's news is exciting, but bittersweet.
But yeah, it's been a whirlwind. It's I just found out about a week ago that I was being considered for the position. Obviously, with their long playoff run, it was almost the last call that I would expect, but there was a position open there, and a history with Dominique Ducharme. So yeah, just a few conversations, and things started to escalate very quickly, and here we are today. It's been a blur.
Now, as for the Spitfires, they say that they're excited and that they'll start looking for a new head coach in the coming weeks. Take a live look outside and we enjoy the view. The Detroit River looking real blue today. Some boats out having a bit of fun. Colette Kennedy comes up next to give us an idea of how this week's going to end with her forecast. A First Nation in Ontario is launching an effort to search for burial sites at a former residential school. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission found evidence that more than 50 students died at the Mohawk Institute near Brantford.
What we know is that the TRC discovered records of at least 54 death records in the 142 years associated with the school. What we don't know is where those little bodies are buried. We know that throughout the Institute's history, there was an upwards of close to 500 acres that formed the school property. We know that every last acre needs to be searched.
The elected council of the Six Nations of the Grand River is giving residential school survivors $1 million to get that search started. They've also asked for a criminal investigation into the deaths and disappearances of students. There have also been requests for funding and other supports from the federal government, but the council says there has been no response from Ottawa. The Mohawk Institute operated from 1828 until 1970. And Milwaukee has been waiting 50 years for this win.
Never thought in a day I would see this at all. I didn't. But it's amazing. Our team stayed down. We went through the gutter, and we rise like phoenixes. We are number one. We are the NBA champs.
The Bucks broke a 5-decade title drought last night in Game 6 of the NBA Finals. They beat the Phoenix Suns in front of a hometown crowd. And leading them to victory, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He scored nearly half of the Bucks' points for the night. The final score, 105-98. No surprise, the young star taking the MVP home as well. We bring in Clark Kennedy now. Not bad for a young guy like that. He wasn't even supposed to. There was questions on whether or not he'd be able to play in the finals.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible performance. I did tune in. Kind of wanted it to go to Game 7, though.
I know, yeah.
But, obviously, City really excited there in Milwaukee to have that win come back to them after 50 years. Let's show you what's going on here with our temperatures. Yeah, today, a little bit cooler, a little more comfortable, and not only that, the air quality improved, too, because that smoke being pushed away by the front that went through yesterday. So here's your average high, and have a look at that. Today's high, we'll round it up, but really hard to get to even 24 degrees. Current temperature sitting there, and you notice Sarnia a little cooler there, just above 21, and that's with that wind coming off the lake there. That's the sustained wind, just over 30 kilometers an hour. But you can see look at all those arrows, right? That northerly breeze that's been coming through and kind of changing everything and bringing the dew points down a little bit. It doesn't take long, and we know that, and they'll be turning around in the other direction. But dry conditions for now. We get into variable skies tomorrow. And often I say variable, what does that mean? And I just happen to like this particular model, and in this case, because it really kind of shows you how we'll see changes in the cloud cover, breaks, and then more clouds. And even when they're there, much of the day they're going to be higher level clouds, so you're still going to have a pretty decent feel to the day tomorrow. But I've stopped this. This is Thursday night into Friday early morning. I think this first little line is going to push through and probably skim past us. You may get tagged by it there in Chatham, Kent, and Sarnia, but then by Friday morning, do expect to see some scattered showers. Could even be a little bit of remnant embedded thunderstorm activity there, and then we'll clear out again, and then we'll get back into this pattern into the weekend. So tonight, look at these readings. 10 degrees, I mean, almost single digits there. Sarnia, Chatham, Kent, you're doing a little better, 11 and 10 for London, but Windsor, we're headed down to about 12 degrees. Now, tomorrow afternoon, the temperature's warmer than today. I know I'm showing a lot of cloud cover, but again, remember, it's going to kind of change through the day, and a lot of it will be at the mid and upper levels. Friday, 26, with that shower risk in the morning, especially, then clearing. But Saturday, we get into a chance of showers and thunderstorms, perhaps some active severe weather. Watch that carefully. And look at the heat coming back in. There it is, Chris. 30s return.
It's not bad. The comforter tonight, and then we're back to everything again once the weekend comes through.
Yep, just keep it all handy.
And the roller coaster continues. Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
Now, the Tokyo Games, they're coming up, but some people are looking further ahead. 2032. We take you to that story next. The federal government is holding a summit on dealing with discrimination. Anti-Semitism and Islamophobia are the focus, but today's anti-Semitism session is facing some criticism for who hasn't been invited. CBC's Travis Donrosh reports.
Stop! Holy
Early July, a Jewish man attacked in Toronto.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. Jewish much? Also this month, a man brandishing a swastika on his chest in Stanley Park.
Just a few weeks ago, I was accosted by an anti-Semite who hit me with words that I can't even repeat.
A recent audit by B'nai Birth Canada found there were more than 2,600 anti-Semitic incidents last year, up 18.3% from 2019, a troubling statistic being discussed at this week's National Summit on Racism.
The rise in hate-motivated crimes against the Jewish community in the past few months is not only alarming, it's completely unacceptable.
Far too many people are getting sucked into fake news stories and conspiracy theories about the Jewish community that are leading to acts of intimidation, harassment, assault, and other violence.
But there is criticism the summit is excluding many that wanted to attend.
Not to invite the only Jewish federal leader to attend, I think is a loss.
You need to have different perspectives at the table and not just the same ones and the voices you want to hear.
The government says it is committed to listening to all voices and fighting hate, today announcing more than $6 million delivered through its security infrastructure program to help at-risk communities beef up security.
We'll continue to work with everyone whose safety and security is being threatened by the actions of those who are intolerant and hateful.
Applications for the program are only accepted during certain times of the year. Places of worship also can't be reimbursed for urgent expenses, two issues religious leaders want fixed. Tomorrow, attention at the summit will turn to tackling Islamophobia. Leaders of all faiths agree once the conversations are over, real action is needed for communities to live free of fear. Travis Donrosh, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, we're still 2 days away from Tokyo's opening ceremony. Here's some folks already getting excited about the Summer Games in 2032. Brisbane, Australia was named the host city of the 2032 Olympics. Hundreds of locals coming out to watch that announcement live on the big screen. Australia has hosted the Games twice before, Melbourne in 1956, Sydney in the year 2000. That's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. The Rick Mercer Report is up next. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.